Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, I'm your host for the next 2 hours of live radio. Hope you all enjoyed the show that was on before me. I didn't get a chance to listen to it, but it's on TFR, so I know it must be an absolutely fantastic show. And I'm glad that you could all join me today for our end of the week woo extravaganza, because this is going to definitely be the Kev X files today. I've got UFOs, we got a bit of disclosure, we've got something called Skyborg that I meant to get to yesterday, we didn't. We have got reptilians from Australia, we've got monsters from Scotland, and then we've got all of you delightful people when I open up the phones. Yes, indeed. So a big shout out to everyone that is tuned in today. You know, you've been here throughout the week. It means the world to me. It truly does. And they're all filing in over at tfrlive.com/chat. Now, if you want to hang out in there, it's totally free. You can head on over and you can get your own little shout out from yours truly in just a moment. So I'll give you about 30 seconds to run on over there. Had another nice day today. Sitting out the back, just having a nice kick back kind of afternoon. I don't know what's going on here. You know, I'm definitely taking advantage of the good weather that's happening in the UK right now. And I tell you, I'm like a little flower. So I am, because you get some sunshine into me. You know, I definitely benefit from that. Rarely do I find myself in a kind of negative kind of mood, that kind of downer that you sometimes find yourself in. Never happens for me when the weather's good. So I hope wherever you are around the world, I hope you are having a good day also. And any day's a good day when you're here at Truth Frequency Radio. Remember to tell everyone about this, your number one network. And because it's your number one network, I open up the phones in hour number 2. And Granny, she's knocked it out of the park not once but twice this week. We've had Kevin last night as well. We've had another great week of great phone calls. And I hope we can repeat that again later on in this show. Now, we're staying away from all of that pesky kind of mundane real world news, as I call it today. And we're getting into the good stuff. So before we get to the good stuff, though, I did promise everyone a little tickle in the chat room. Not a physical tickle. I'm not that good. But I can give you a shout out. And hanging out in the chat room is not one, but 2 KBS, not KBS, TFR hosts. You've got me and you have got Lucky from Quantum Connections. She's in there as well. And then we've got, let's see, we've got Bam, Boy Solomon, AJ Mack, Tony Phillips, Cold Brews, and Smelly Pits OMG. So I hope you're all buckled in. You're all ready for what is definitely going to prove to be a heck of a journey down Kev's rabbit hole. Doesn't sound as bad as that in my own head when I practiced this earlier on, but you know where I'm going, right? So first up today, we're going to take a look at the ongoing UFO saga. It's non-stop, and in recent times you will know that we've tried to keep up with everything that has been going on since December 2017, when we had my favourite character, Luis Elizondo, and the whole To the Stars Academy, and all of the Tic Tac, the gimbal videos, all that jazz, right? And then just last week, I had Ben Emlyn Jones. It might even have been this week. Things all blend together when you're doing shows every day. It's the magic, it's the mystery of being the experience called Kev Baker. I wish I could share just how crazy it gets at times, right? But we had Ben on the show and we were talking about disclosure again. And there's also been, over the weekend, a bit of a UFO flap over something that happened in Brazil. So it's not really too hard right now, if you're into ufology, to find stuff to get your teeth into and really, you know, look into this subject some more. The soft disclosure, as a lot of people are calling it. And the soft disclosure is starting to get a little bit more solid. Because now we're not only getting videos, we're not only getting verbal and written confirmation from the Pentagon, we're getting the documents, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, indeed, we've got the documents. Well, I don't physically have the documents myself, but the Drive, they went and they obtained the documents. So we're going to take a look at eight either unclassified or for internal use only type documents, and they're called hazard reports, and they've been obtained from the Navy by the Drive. So we're going to take a little look at this because I think this we have to look at this to add it into the picture of the ongoing dodgy disclosure. Yes, indeed. I do not know what to make of this, folks. I really don't. As time goes on, instead of the picture becoming clearer, it becomes murkier. For me, anyway. But you know that doesn't matter one jot, because what we do on here, or what I do on here, is I provide, and I'll let you decide what it means, okay? So if we come over here, and we scroll down, like I say, this is the Drive. They've got their hands on the documents. And it says, here are the Navy pilot reports from encounters with mysterious aircraft off the East Coast. So I'll scroll down, get to the first report. It says, number 1, June 27th, 2013, an FA-18F Super Hornet Strike Fighter Squadron 11. So on June 27th, 2013, a Super Hornet from Strike Fighter Squadron 11, flying out of Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia, had an encounter with an aircraft that was white in colour and approximately the size and shape of a drone or missile in the W-72 warning. The jet's crew visually acquired it as they saw it pass down the right side of their aircraft with approximately 200 feet of lateral separation while flying at an altitude of 17,000 feet. It was climbing and had a visible exhaust trail. Now that's quite interesting because the UFOs, UAPs, now the ones that we've been seeing in the videos, the Tic Tac comes to mind. There doesn't seem to be any obvious propulsion system there. There doesn't seem to be any kind of exhaust trail left in that. So this does sound like something different. And could this be a drone? And God forbid some missile. If it's a missile, who's firing it? And 200 feet from a plane? I mean, when it comes to being up in the sky, that's like, that's ball hair material, right? Call it a near miss, yeah? Just a little bit. So it says neither the Super Hornet nor NAS Oceana recorded a radar track of the object. And Commander Strike Fighter Wing Atlantic, abbreviated in the report as CSFWL, quote, contacted operating units, but no one reported operations of this nature. Fleet Area Control and Surveillance Facility, Virginia Capes, reviewed radar tapes and no aircraft was identified or noted in the area. And the Navy did not issue any notices to airmen, which are called NOTAMs, or temporary flight restrictions based on this hazard report, but did issue internal notices to tactical aviation units, air traffic controllers, and unmanned aerial vehicle operators to be aware of the potential hazards posed by unauthorized, uncoordinated drone operations. So that's the first one there. And you can go to the Drive, folks, and they actually have the documents that you can read through. What they've done is they've basically summarized each one, and I'm just going to go over the summary of it. Number 2, another Super Hornet, this time November 2013. So a Super Hornet from Strike Fighter Squadron 143, flying out of Naval Air Station Oceana in Virginia, spotted an object in the W-72 warning zone via radar off its nose at around 12,000 feet and a speed of approximately zero point 0.1 Mach on November 18th, 2013. Quote, the aircraft had approximately 5-foot wingspan and was coloured white with no other distinguishable features, according to the pilot, who was able to visually acquire the object and tracked it for an hour. Now, this report says that the Navy concluded that this object was an unmanned aerial system, but the commander of the strike fighter Wing Atlantic and Fleet Area Control and Surveillance Facility, again in Virginia Capes, the latter of which is also identified here by its call sign Giant Killer, was not able to ascertain the operator. Now, as was the case on June 27th, the Navy issued a series of internal warnings. Now, think about that, folks, right? I mean, as far as national security, a threat to aviation, be it military or civilian aviation, it's got to be quite worrying that there's a chance that nobody knows what the heck this is. And if it's a drone, I mean, you'd have to think that if it was some kind of drone technology, they would have a way of tracking that, right? And potentially the pilots may be able to identify it. I say may because people are making new drones all the time. And people might say 12,000 feet, Kev. I honestly don't know the capacity of what some drones can do. We would need Spooky Andy here. He knows all about the drones. But again, just another one of these incidents. And it says, most curiously, this report notes that surface traffic was light, with only a single stationary commercial fishing trawler and a single unidentified US Navy vessel traveling south during the incident. But the identity of the naval vessel in the vicinity was undetermined. It's not at all clear how the Navy was able to determine that one of its own ships was operating on the surface in the general area, but not able to figure out which ship it was specifically. And at the end of the report, the concern regarding unknown aircraft operating in the warning area is clearly growing more palpable. Now, it's either that they knew fine what ship this was, and because it was a classified, maybe new technology, a test drone, some kind of aerial test vehicle, maybe that's their way of saying that nothing to see here unless it's a need-to-know basis, and we don't need to know. And there's no way on this earth that the Navy weren't able to identify one of their own naval vessels. That's ridiculous. That's preposterous when you think about it. So it goes on to say, and two reports so far, and one of them is heightening my suspicions already that we're not really getting to see much here at all. We need to see what was really said about all of these things, not just the kind of surface level reports and for public consumption. So we're scrolling down. I need to get to the next one. Number 4, we'll move on to that one. This is a Hornet strike again. Super Hornet Strike Fighter Squadron 106, sorry. And this is March 26, 2014. Flying out of Oceania, again, detected a possible radar track about 19,000 feet with a speed of 0.1 Mach in the warning area. The pilot's wingman did not have the object on radar, and there was a debate about whether it might be a false track given high winds gusting at over 100 knots at 18,000 feet. The unknown aircraft appeared to be small in size, approximately the size of a suitcase and silver in colour. Now, that word there, suitcase, that reminds me, and I don't know if any of the listeners here will remember when I was going over the suspected UFO crash / strange event in Mage, Brazil. It was described in that exact vocabulary, suitcase. And remember the little ball in Mage as well? Looked very metallic, very silver. Now, I'm not saying we don't have suitcases that are flying about at 18,000 feet, but it seems unlikely to me. That's all I'm saying. So the pilot was was only able to pass within 1,000 feet of it and could not identify it. After that pass, they lost sight of it and never regained visual contact. Now, this report notes that the Fleet Area Control and Surveillance Facility, again, did not spot this object on its radar screens. However, the commanding officer of VFA 106 also noted that the fact that Capes place, Virginia Capes, cannot detect a target this size if it is not squawking IFF, and that's for identification, friend or foe, or communicating via radio, which presents a significant safety concern given that this unknown aircraft was detected in an exclusive use area. I feel it may only be a matter of time before one of our F-18 aircraft has a mid-air collision with an unidentified UAS. Now, this is huge. It's huge that we're getting to see this, because remember, this is for public consumption. And everything you see is for a reason, okay? And what I'm starting to see here in the 3 or 4 that we've read is a steady increase in the concern shown by the top brass about what could be in the skies. So when there's a concern about what might be out there in the skies, what does that do? Well, you probably find a whole lot of funding coming on the back of that into research projects and all of that money going into the same military-industrial complex that are probably responsible for a lot of the technology that people are mistaking as otherworldly craft. What a vicious circle that one is, right? But it says here, the head of or they could be getting us ready for Project Bluebeam. There you go. You see, I went there. I went early. Project Bluebeam early. 19 minutes into KBS, and we have hit the Bluebeam. And I haven't even got to Reptilians yet. Oh my, what a night this is going to be. What a night. Yeah, back to it. You don't want to be hearing me singing, folks, right? That's the last thing you want to be hearing. So I'm going to just randomly pick one more of these reports. We'll go for number 6. And this is 2 FA-18 Super Hornets. At least it's not the murder hornet. Boom, boom. Okay, it wasn't that funny, I know. On April 24th, 2014, within a day of the Super Hornet from Strike Fighter Squadron 11 having its own encounter with 4 unidentified aerial devices, 2 more FA-18s made radar contact with another unknown aerial device. So this is a new bit of nomenclature as well, a bit of jargon from the Navy, right? We had UAP, unknown or unidentified aerial phenomenon, and now we're getting UAD, which is unidentified aerial devices. That's the first time I've heard that. I don't know about all of you out there, but yep. I know I'm a geeky ufologist. What can I say? Acronyms and that, they mean something to me. Don't take my acronyms away, folks. Come on then. So 2 more FA-18s made radar contact with another UAD in the warning area while conducting basic fighting maneuvering. BFM, aka dogfighting. So you've got Top Guns up there, right? They're taking part in their Tom Goose. I was actually going to call him Tom Gooseman there. Gooseman from Top Gun. Again, I'm losing it. But you've got these fighter giants. What's happening tonight? Fighter pilots that are doing these training maneuvers. You know, they're flying around in some of the most expensive military equipment known to man. Some of the most technologically advanced as well. And there's flying suitcases up there. That can't be good. It really can't be good. So it says here, both aircraft were to maintain a track or a radar track with the object, which was stationary or near stationary at zero point 0.0 Mach at 11,000 feet. So you've got something just sitting in the air at 11,000 feet. And it looks like a suitcase by the sounds of it. Okay, this isn't the suitcase one. I'm mixing my stories now, right? But it says here, the aircraft were also able to lock onto the object with their CAT M9Xs, a captive carry training version of the AIM 9x Sidewinder missile, or 9X. However, in this instance, neither one made visual contact. So you've got something up there, you can't see it, but you're getting a missile lock. So is that something that's cloaked? Now, is it ours? Because you can absolutely bet everything you've got that the military, if they don't already have cloaking abilities, they'd be working on that, right? But it could just as equally be, without any more information coming to the table, otherworldly, interdimensional, who knows? So it says the Navy issued more internal warnings. You see the beating of the drum. There's a threat out there, the alien threat. The last card. The Navy issued more internal warnings, and the commander of the VFA-11 noted that this was the third such incident in 10 months for the squadron. And that officer also noted that the encounter had occurred less than 24 hours after the one on April 23rd. We've got time for one more. These are actually quite interesting. We've got number 7. So on April 27th, 2014, for the third time in 5 days, the crew of an FA-18 from Strike Fighter Squadron 11, flying out of NAS Ocean and operating in the W-72 warning area, reported encountering an unknown aerial device. This report is the most Spartan in its details of the three, but describes a mid-air collision with a balloon-like object. Now, this is notably more serious than the other two from April 2014. It is also the first to give any kind of substantive description of the object, one that would match up with the two previous reports of a stationary or non-stationary UAD at high altitude in the same area. Again, Navy officials sent out a host of warnings. And that, I mean, it didn't really elaborate too much on something getting hit in midair. Time for one more. This is the last one. On February 13th, 2019. So just over a year ago, nearly 5 years after the last recorded encounter with an unidentified object in the Navy or the Naval Safety Center database, the crew of an EA-18 Growler, always loved the name of that, the Growler, yes indeed, electronic warfare aircraft from Air Test and Evaluation Squadron 23, flying out Naval Air Station Patton, I can't even say that, some river in Maryland anyway, and conducting activities in the W386 warning area. This is the first one outside of that East Coast, kind of the Virginia area, and I suppose that's where Joe was when he was in the Navy. So it was visually spotted what they described as a red weather balloon at 27,000 feet. So neither the Fleet Area Command and the Control Facility, Virginia Capes, again referred to by Giant Killer, nor Echo Control Team responsible for overseeing operations in the Atlantic test ranges off the coast, were aware of any scheduled balloon activity. The FAA did not have any relevant notices to airmen, neither. And the report says that the Navy did not identify the individuals or organisations that might have released the balloon and issued various warnings in response to the incident. Now, if you've got a real conspiratorial mind, you'll say, that's Roswell, that's a cover-up. But it could have been a university with weather balloons. It could have been anyone. Join me after the break, and I'll tell you why maybe humans won't be seeing anything in the sky like this for much longer. Skyborg is born. Join me after the break for more from The Kev Baker Show on TFRLive.com. There we go, folks. There we go. We are on the first break already. Now I need to run to the toilet, and hopefully I'll get back to have a quick chat with you all before we launch back into it. But I want to thank you all for being here today. My view counter isn't working. Either that or it is working, and maybe nobody can hear me. Can anybody hear me? Can any... Are we live? Yes, indeedy. The joys, folks, the joys. Let's see. No, I don't know if we are live, you know. Oh, maybe we are. Yes, 73 people. I think we are. Right, folks, I'm going to shove on some tunes. I'm going to go to the toilet. I won't be long, and I will be right back. There we go, we're back. Now, we're not back on TFR yet, but obviously I just want to thank you all for being here today. We have got some techie kind of woo coming up. We have got some real woo coming up. Australian reptilians, we've got monsters from Scotland, and then we have got all of you out there, because I'll be opening up the phones for you to have your say on today's Kev Baker Show, and it's been going so well. You know, I've even been uploading the calls. They've been of such a high quality. I thought, you know, I need to get them out there. So if you want to be a star of the Kev Baker Show, I'll give you the numbers, and they're actually on the screen. You see it, like how I done that. That saved me reading them out to you cats out there in YouTube land. But I'll still need to try and rattle them off for YouTube. For YouTube TFR. What is wrong with me today? I am telling you, it's one of these weird and wacky days. It is. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen.
It's my birthday today. I'm 45 years old.
Lothar, my brother. Now, I would play Happy Birthday, but I had to cut that out of the last time. I played that on the stream the other day for Leslie because of pesky copyrights. But I hope everyone out there is sending our good friend, the expert on everything Masonic. And just for you, my good friend Lothar, this one, definitely for your birthday, man.
How dare you?
I had to, Lothar. And Lothar, he's phoned into the show before, and he's been absolutely fantastic. I think we actually had Lothar on as a guest, maybe even one night. Everything is getting a jumble in my mind today. It's either going to turn out one of the best shows of the week or one of the worst. But I know that you can rescue it all in hour number 2 as the show goes on, because I'll open up the phones. And if you want to call in, it is 213 233 3998. That's 213 233 3998. And if you're over here in the UK, I have let the network know about the UK number. I've got your back. Lucky's got your back. TFR's got your back. And I tell you what, folks, if you're looking for some music, and you're getting a bit fed up, days are getting longer, you might be getting a little bit hot under the collar, go and check out Chris Geo, Shout. Oh, my word. What a track that is. I tell you, I think I've played it too many times, quite obsessively, actually. But let's get back to it, shall we? Because we've all heard of Skynet, right? And I often talk about the AI on this show. Some people, it has them running for cover under their bed. Some people find it hysterical that there's any worry about this artificial intelligence at all. Well, I find it all very, very fascinating. And as we move further into this very uncertain future that we're galloping into right now, you can already see how more and more technology and more AI is taking over some of the workload from us pesky bags of water and fat, and you get all that jazz, right? But Skyborg, have you ever heard of that? I hadn't heard of this until the other day, and if I have, maybe it's a Mandela effect. I don't know. Maybe that was a Kev or a Dave from a different timeline. But very soon, these pilots that have been seeing all of this good stuff, all of these unidentified aerial devices or unidentified aerial phenomenon, call them what you will, UFOs, things in the sky that you just don't know what they are. They could be ours, but they could be from somewhere far, far away as well. But very soon, like I say, the amount of time possibly that humans will be spending up at high altitude, flying these Top Gun fighter jets, well, I'm not too sure how long that's going to go on for, because we're in the first stages of handing over all of that kind of stuff to the AI. And it's not Skynet, it's Skyborg. The fight for the Air Force's Skyborg AI-equipped drones has begun. Now, I'm not going to read out all of this, okay, but I'm just going to give you the bare basics, give you the idea, the crazy name of it, and then I'll give you my thoughts on it, and then we'll look deeper at the way AI is taking over more and more roles in the military. Talk about, pouring petrol on the flames of people's fears of Terminator and all that kind of dystopic stuff. I'm sorry, I apologise, but I'm just providing you with the information. What you do with it from there, totally up to you. And it says here that the US Air Force has announced its first steps to making its Skyborg system a reality. This program, which the service revealed last year, aims to develop a suite of software or a suite of systems that will form a single artificial intelligence driven, quote, computer brain that would be able to fly future low-cost, loyal wingman type drones, which would work together with manned aircraft and potentially fully autonomous unmanned combat air vehicles, or UCAVs. The Air Force also plans to acquire unmanned aircraft to support the deployment of the Skyborg package and possibly carry a final version of the systems operational by 2023. So the Air Force Life Cycle Management Centre's Advanced Aircraft Directorate, abbreviated to a whole heap of letters, issued a call for technical and cost proposals for what it's calling the Skyborg prototyping, experimentation, and autonomy development. the SPEED project on the US government's beta.sam.gov contracting website on the 15th of May 2020. And the notice says that the service expects to hand out development deals worth up to 400 million each to multiple contractors to integrate the Skyborg system into an actual unmanned aircraft. And the first actual contract awards, which will be for just $4,000, will pay for those companies to craft their proposals and bring them to a kickoff event, which will take place later on in the year, okay? Now, when you read into Skyborg even more, you come to realise that the fighter jets, the Top Gun pilots, you know, oh, there's a super chat.
You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your UFOs.
Pollination. Oh, dude, mic drop moment. Out of here, man. You can't pick your friends, you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your UFOs. I love that. But this Skyborg, it's far more than just controlling the drones, folks. You know, they're talking now about how your Top Gun pilots, because of the weapon systems and everything else in there, they're talking about, because we're in an information age and information warfare, the pilots are going to be spending more time looking at camera systems, weapon systems, surveillance, all that kind of stuff, and basically operating a computer. And there is a pilot that is training the actual AI that they say, they're quite open about this, that will be working in partnership with the pilot in your proper F-18s, your proper kind of manned aircraft. This isn't just for the unmanned system. This goes a whole lot further. But it's not just the Air Force, it's not just the Navy, because you've also got the Army as well, and Defence One, how AI will soon change special operations. And it says a new SOCOM office is pursuing tools to understand and influence populations, clear rooms with robots, and spot new forms of jamming. And see that influence in populations? I've mentioned on this show before something in the British Army called 77 Brigade, or 77 Squadron, sorry. We're going to have to do a show on them again sometime soon, because they're working overtime to do just that in the UK right now. Influence populations. So it says, when General Richard D. Clark was leading special operations... Oh, there's another super chat. Oh, wow, thank you.
What's up, Kev? Great program all the time. I tried last night, but it was my bad.
Hey, thank you so much, AJ. That's terribly generous of you. Thank you. Now, I'm going to get back into this, and I'll thank all the super chatters at the end again. It's not I'm ignoring the super chatters, but you've got to admit that this is good woo here, right? And you'll think, but Kev, AI, not really too woo. I think it is. I really do think the whole technology thing does have a very solid connection, like a golden strand, a golden rope into the woo. Because I'm not too sure how much of this technology, not all of it, but I'm not sure how much of it's coming from a good place. I think to my time working with Anthony Patch, and I learned so much there. Some of what I learned was very disturbing. And that's how a lot of these people that are on the cutting edges of technologies, they don't quite think the same as us. And not all of it is with the best of intentions. And where's that idea coming from anyway? I often talk about, in recent times anyway, about the Akashic records and, you know, the quantum field, and whether any ideas are our own. And bad ideas are out there too. You know, bad things are out there. It's not always good stuff that becomes into our reality, that manifests out of that ether, out of the consciousness. And that's why I definitely think when it comes to technology, it's almost got a symbiotic relationship with the woo. It truly is. And wouldn't that even be more so if we do one day ever hack our way out of this reality and prove that we ourselves are living in some kind of computer game? I'm just saying, folks. I'm just saying. I'm getting a bit off the beaten track now, right? Let's get back to the woo. So it says here, the raid, or I'll start this bit again. When General Richard D. Clark was leading Special Operations Forces in Afghanistan years ago, he spent 90% of his time thinking about moving and shooting. The raid, the mission, the kill-capture mission, the destruction of enemy forces. And Clark said last week at the annual SOFIC conference, but when he returned to Afghanistan last year as the commander of the US Special Operations Command, he found that US leaders were focusing most on their mental energy on information. You see, even soldiers are becoming information warriors, information soldiers, whatever term you want to put on it. Commanders now spend about 60% of their time mulling what the bad people and the Afghan population are thinking, and how US actions might influence that, Clark said. As we look into the info space and in our fight for competition, working in the information space can have the greatest impact in the coming years. And that's because, as opposed to sitting around a table making actual 3D models, as soldiers and generals have done for time ever, you know, it's what they've always done. Now they can actually just put it all into simulations, change the parameters, tweak it here, tweak it there, and they can basically know beforehand what any action, what the outcome's going to be. That's what the information, that's why it's so valuable. This is why it's like the new gold. And it says, commanders now spend... Okay, I've done that. Clark said AI will play a big role in SOCOM's future information warfare efforts. And this summer, the command will stand up a new office to harness AI for language translation, scanning captured laptops and cell phones, collating and countering bad guy messaging, and more. Quote, how can I, in real time, sense what the enemy is stating publicly so that we can counter that messaging, he said. So we can see what they're working in the Twitter sphere or what they're working in the information environment so that we can respond in real time at a speed of relevance. The social information will also play a role in tactical operations. You see how when you're on social media, folks, you're literally going toe-to-toe with military information warriors and AI bots. The internet, it's... What is it now? It says next year, SOCOM will launch a program to give mission commanders better AI tools, according to James Smith, the command's acquisition executive. One part is creating visualization software that can show relevant tactical information and what Smith described as SOF peculiar data, such as population dynamics, social media trends, sentiment analysis, and other social points. All this should give commanders a sense of what's happening socially and psychologically in the places that they're operating. And Smith wants to give our operations centre a much better feel for the operations that SOF is going to be asked to do. Both the countering violent extremism operations, but also in great power competition. That information, along with, quote, everything they will currently get from a whole cell of analysts, will allow flow to operators as part of a hyper-enabled environment, said Lisa Sanders. She goes on to say, all of that could be moved forward to give a true, immediate situational picture on the edge, and it goes on to talk about it. It's a few more chapters there, paragraphs, sorry. I don't want to spend too much time on this, but I just wanted to give you the idea. But here's the takeaway from all of that. Because in there it's talking about Afghanistan, right? I can guarantee you right now, everything we're saying, everything you're doing online, everything anyone is taking part in on social media in particular right now, you bet it's been analysed. You bet they're running multiple models. These cats are so far ahead in the game, and that's not to be disheartened or disheartening, but it's just to be real. And boy, oh boy, are we in some interesting times, right? Skyborg, cyber warriors turning their keyboards in on their own populations. What next? I'll tell you what next. A bloody cyborg eye that can see better than ours. I'm not joking either. Check this out. Got sent this today by a couple of people. Karen, just a guy. A couple of other people as well. So it says here, an artificial eye that sees like a human could transform robotics. And a human user of the bionic eye, get this, would gain night vision capabilities. How cool would that be? I know we've got our good friend Jason, the paranormal investigator. Imagine if you could get one of them in, brother. You could just wear an eye patch on the other one. You'd be able to walk along and it'd be like you're seeing in that cool night vision kind of paranormal investigation mode. I don't know. I'm thinking this might be a goer. So it says scientists have developed an artificial eye that could provide vision for humanoid robots or even function as a bionic eye for visually impaired people in the future. Researchers from the Hong Kong University of Science and Technology built the electrochemical eye, dubbed ECI, to resemble the size and the shape of the biological eye, but with vastly greater potential. You know, I'm really glad they went for the kind of same shape as the human eye, because that would have been really disturbing if they'd gone for the whole grey alien, black almond shaped thing, and then they'd started helping, like, partially sighted people. That wouldn't have looked good. They would have looked like black-eyed people. Not good. But here's the thing, folks, and people will hate me for this. I think this is fantastic. Can you imagine? We've got Kevin that phones into the show. Nacy. You know, he's lost his sight. Think of the amount of people that this could help before we start, you know, throwing all of it out because we're worried about what may happen with this technology. Let's use stuff like this to help people, you know. Let's not just almost cut our own noses off to spite our face by really going all Luddite on the AI and some of the advances out there. Some of them can be really, really good. Some of them can be really, really positive. But it's like any tool. It's like any tool. And we don't go banning tools, you know? And that's why I think when it comes to the technology, although I do see the very slippery slope that it can go down, man, I see great benefit as well. And when it comes to helping people out, how can we stand in the way of that?
Smile for Miles. Much love to the chat, love you all.
Oh, Polly Nation, one of our fine Canadian long-time listeners there. So it goes on to say here that the eye mimics the human iris and retina using a lens to focus light onto a dense array of light-sensitive nanowires. Information is then passed through the wires, which act like the brain's visual cortex, to a computer for processing. They have taken the eyeball and literally they've tried to replicate that. They've tried to get it as close as possible. And you think what your eyeball does is exactly what that machine there does. You know, your eyeball, the lens, it focuses the light to the retina at the back, and then you've got all the nerves that take it away as the electrical signals to the brain. No different than this type of camera they're talking about. So during tests, the computer was able to recognize the letters E, I, and Y when they were projected onto the lens, and the artificial eye could, in theory, be connected to an optic nerve to relay information to a human brain, the researchers said, while also improving camera-based eyes currently used on robots. Well, you know, you can poke those things out. We can jab those eyes out the robots, right? No, but I think that's pretty cool. Pretty good, pretty sci-fi 21st century tech, and a big, giant eyeball. That will do nothing to allay the fears of the kind of, the technology conspiracists out there. It really won't. But we're done with the techie side of the woo, and now we're going to get into the real good woo. Because today I was taking a look around, as you do, and I like to get a kind of a broad spectrum of woo, so that not only can we enjoy the information, but also so that I can hopefully stimulate some of you out there. It might resonate with something that's happened to you, and it'll prompt you to want to phone into the show. And very shortly, I will be opening up the phones. During the next segment, we'll get the phones open. And if you want to be a part of the show, then all you have to do is dial. If you're in the US, it is 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. And I am so looking forward to hearing from you. I want you to blow me away with your ghosty stories, your creepy woo, and the doppelganger that Granny brought up the other night. Holy moly. What a story that was. And then you had Kev last night. And we had the goosebumps going. Oh, I hope he calls in again tonight. I hope all of you try and call in tonight. But we've got a couple of minutes before we go to the break. And the story I want to bring you first then, this is a classic. It really is. Because I had a story about the Loch Ness Monster, which we're going to get to. That was my kind of first bit of woo, deep woo for you today. But I'm going to be going on a show at the weekend with our good friend Jess, Mammoth Hunter, Luna as well. She's going to be coming on the show. And Donnie, that's another Australian that's going to be coming on the show as well. And when I seen this next story, I thought, well, you know, with the Australian theme in mind, and the fact it talks about giant reptilians, I thought, there's no way I can really avoid this, is there? So let's get into it. First, Australian settlers coexisted with car-sized lizards and giant marsupials. Now, just how terrifying is that? Car-sized lizards. Well, I don't know. We've got a queen-sized lizard down in Buckingham Palace today, and she's scary enough. I don't know about a car-sized one. So it says here, and it comes from Jocelyn LeBlanc. And I wonder if she's married to Ronnie LeBlanc. Ronnie LeBlanc is the author of Monster Quest, I think is the name of the book. Yeah. Why I'm even getting into this, I don't know right now. But, yeah, this story here, again, it's got that Australian kind of flavour to it. And I just need to send this link right now. I forgot to send it to some people. Oh, dear Lord. They'll be cracking up. Oh, missed the show, missed the show. So then, let's get into it. Researchers found fossilized remains in Australia, which proves that humans once coexisted with some pretty large creatures. Now, as recent as 40,000 years ago, Indigenous Australians had to live beside huge kangaroos, car-sized lizards, and a marsupial lion that lived between 60,000 and 40,000 years ago. In fact, they were the biggest land animals to have lived on the island since the dinosaurs roamed the earth. And Dr. Scott Hocknell, who is a paleontologist at Queensland Museum and a University of Melbourne honorary, told Daily Mail Australia that at least 16 species of megafauna, 13 extinct and 3 extant, have been unearthed at the site in South Walker Creek, North Queensland. Now, the 3 species that are still in existence today are the emu, the red kangaroo, and the saltwater crocodile. Now, they have been digging at the site for the last 12 years and have unearthed the remains of a megalania, a 7-meter-long goanna, huge wombats, not Wuhan bats, wombats, and a marsupial lion. They also found the remains of kangaroos that were 2.5 meters tall. G'day, Spot. I'll be back after the break. Don't go anywhere. That was a terrible Australian accent. I get that. It was a really bad one. But I want to thank all of you super chatters so much. We've got Pollination. We've got AJ McCammond. We've also got Polly again. We've got Lothar. Apologies for last night's super chats. I don't know what happened to them at all. But I'm going to play these ones again because you lot rock.
It's my birthday today. I'm 45 years old.
It shows for you, Lothar. I'm actually going to put that in the description. This one is for Lothar. Absolutely. And then we've got Polly.
You can pick your friends and you can pick your nose, but you can't pick your UFOs.
That is priceless, dude. That's priceless. Next up, we've got AJ, and thank you so much, AJ.
What's up, Kev? Great program all the time. I tried last night, but it was my bad.
I was really worried last night, AJ, because obviously we had a problem getting them on the screen. And when you said you'd tried and something went wrong, my whole world almost fell out of my... You see, I don't want to swear on the stream. Last but not least, it's our good friend, Polly.
Smile for miles. Much love to the chat. Love you all.
Yes, much love to you, my brother. Much love to all of you. I'm going to jam on some tunes. I'm going to PPP. And we're going to reconvene in just a moment for more woo from Down Under. And then, folks, monsters. And I'm opening up the phones for all of you. Yes, AJ McCammond. What a very Scottish sounding name. Where are you from, AJ? Tell us where you're from. Us Scottish people, we have got family all over the world. It's because the ladies like us. Big shout out to Donnie in the chat room. And he's saying the kangaroos are about as big as a bear. That terrifies me. Don't tell me that. I couldn't even beat a normal kangaroo. Have you seen those things fight? Those things are nasty, dude. Nasty. We watched a video of them fighting on here one night, man. I would not mess with a kangaroo. I'm about 1 foot in my tip. What, 1 foot? I really would be kind of small if I was 1 foot. I'm about 1 meter in my tiptoes, man. That kangaroo, it's going to laugh at me. It'll say, "G'day, Kev, what are you doing?" Ain't no fighting that kangaroo. So, I'm watching the times here. I'm waiting. Oh, we've got another super.
Shalom, blessings everyone. Great whoopee pee. Victory hand, folded hands, cool face.
Cool face. Doesn't Brian sound really cool saying shalom? Here we go. Welcome back, ladies, gentlemen, Wookiees, interdimensional travelers, time travelers, creepers, lurkers, Greta.
How dare you?
Oh, thank goodness that was the right button. That could have gone horribly wrong. But how you all doing out there? Before I left you to go to the break, I hope you got a nice cup of coffee, a refreshment, maybe a a herbal remedy or two has been sparked right now. I wish I was with you there in person to share that. But I have got you covered for woo for the next hour. Or maybe because I need all of you. Because I'm going to be opening up the phones. And if you want to call me, it is 213-233-3998. That is 213-233-3998. And yes, I was getting my sleeves rolled up at the break there. I'm getting ready to go. I was going to say toe to toe with a kangaroo. Do kangaroos have toes? I suppose they do. They've got giant feet, right? But now we're learning there's giant kangaroos. 2.5 meters tall? Seriously? I wouldn't even get up to the pouch on a kangaroo. And then you talk about those ones that are big and ripped and they're drinking lager and they're throwing shrimps on the Barbie and they're throwing Sheilas over their shoulder and taking them back to the Billabong and all the rest of it. That crazy place, Australia, man. Point of the story is that there's really big beasties down there, or at least there was in the past. And we're learning that some of them were absolutely massive. So let's get back into this. And it says here, the kangaroos, and they found remains of them that were 2.5 meters, just over 8 feet tall. Are they Nephilim?
How dare you?
Probably, I know. I didn't get away with that one. But at 8 feet tall, I think anything that comes in at 8 feet should be prefixed by Nephil. Nephil kangaroos. So they're tall and they weighed approximately 274 kilograms. Just over 600 pounds. Like Joe Joseph sized. I'm only joking. Although they were large in size, they were hunted by huge reptiles. Like 7-meter long freshwater crocodiles and lizards that weighed about the same as a small car. Now, pictures of the site can be seen here, but we're on radio, all good. Goes on to say, this is really exciting as it's the first time we've been able to provide a picture of what the tropical north looked like. Tropical north? Terrifying north? It sounds like something out of Jurassic Park gone wrong. Jurassic Park meets Amityville Horror. So Hocknell explained, adding, the megafauna at Southwater Creek were uniquely tropical, dominated by huge reptilian carnivores and mega herbivores that become extinct about 40,000 years ago, or at least 20,000 years after humans arrived in Australia. The first people of Australia most likely saw these animals. And I don't think humans arrived in Australia, and we've done shows on that. And I'll be asking our guests at the weekend, who will probably know a heck of a lot better than even my beloved Mysterious Universe website. It says, while it's not entirely certain how or if humans would have had any contact with these huge animals, well, according to Bruce Fenton, who's been on the show a number of times, and he's coming back soon to talk about aliens. I really like that guy. And I can't thank Jess and Dan enough for putting me onto the trail of him. It says, Hocknell suggested that they probably attempted to avoid them as much as possible, as some mammalian predators roamed the area, such as the marsupial lion, Thylacoleo carnifex. Well, a name like Carnifex is terrifying. But no wonder early humans were trying to stay out of the way of these things. No story where man interacting with a car-sized lizard ever ends well. And the 2.5 foot or the 2.5 meter tall Nephil kangaroos don't make for a good traveling companion. Maybe if you were able to jump into one of their pouches, maybe they would be a good transport. I don't know. But as for what wiped out the animals, it's believed that global warming caused their demise instead of humans. So we cannot play. So wait a minute. So global warming was occurring when humans weren't here? Interesting. Just saying. We cannot place humans at this 40,000-year-old scene. I beg to differ, my friend. We have no firm evidence. Therefore, we find no role for humans in the extinction of these species of megafauna, Hocknell explained. And we find that their extinction is coincident with major climatic and environmental deterioration, both locally and regionally, including increased bushfires, reduction in grasslands, and the loss of fresh water. Now, the next phase of this research involves cracking open the DNA and bringing back to life a 2.5 meter tall kangaroo, because I want to see that. But then back in the real world, it says the research involves finding out where on Australia the ancient settlers were located when the huge animals were in existence. Their study on the findings can be read here. Well, I would imagine one place would be like Uluru, Ayers Rock. It seems a quite significant kind of landmark to the original people of Australia, I would think. I would imagine you probably found them here, there, and everywhere. Just saying. People will be thinking, but Kev, people came out of Africa. Well, you need to go and check out the other shows that we've done in the past, which definitely, at the very least, are worthy of consideration, just as the out of Africa stuff is, and in some cases, more so. So make of that what you will. We provide, you decide, and we're staying on the woo before I open up the phones, because we have got some monster woo, if I can find the right one. No, that's not the right one either. Let me find the right one. It's here somewhere. I'm pretty sure I've got it here somewhere. I'll find it, folks. Here we go. I know it's on the front page there somewhere. Something had to go horribly wrong. Eh? Always does. Yep. Not that one. Not that one. It wasn't that one. It wasn't that one. There it is. I did have it up. There we go. Death by monsters, Bigfoot, lake monsters, and more. And I'm getting a bit annoyed with this whole lake monster thing. It's a loch monster, okay? It's a loch, not a lake. Lakes are for English people. Lochs are for men. So have people been killed by strange creatures and marauding monsters? Well, it very much depends on your own perspective. And we'll begin with the death on the waters of Loch Ness, Scotland. Now, we all know what lives there, right? Or allegedly lives there. Take your pick. And Roland Watson said in September 29th, 2012, article titled The 60th Anniversary of the John Cobb Disaster. Now, John Cobb, for anyone out there, was trying to set a land speed record. And unfortunately, he met his demise while trying to set the record. And there's been a lot of talk over the years, you know, what done it. Because basically they had to wait for the loch to look like a sheet of glass. A day where it was perfectly still. And if anyone knows Loch Ness, this isn't the body of water to be going trying that anyway. Even on a really nice summer's day, there's ripples and waves there. Not good when you're trying to, like, fly along the water's surface at Mach whatever, and, you know, you're almost getting thrown through the back of the bloody machine. You're going that fast. But people have said, what if it was the monster? What if he hit the monster? Because something caused his boat to break up while he was going for this record. And I suppose that is one theory. You could say that. But in all likelihood, it's exactly as they theorized afterwards. And because there was a whole heap of boats out on the loch, they think that either the wake caused by one of these boats, the ripples, or even just a small twig, just a branch, would have been enough to cause what happened. So for me personally, somebody that's growing up in the area of Loch Ness, and I know that monument, and I know what happened there, although I wasn't there at the time, I know very well of the story. I don't think there's any connection. To Nessie. So I think we can kind of breeze down past that bit. And if I come back to the story now, it says, so, in this case, I can say no to a death by Loch Ness Monster. And that was Nick Redfern talking about John Cobb. There is, however, an intriguing story that revolves around the River Ness, Now, the story can be found in Book 2, Chapter 27 of St. Adomand's Vita Columbae. Now, to say that it is quite a tale is at the very least an understatement. Born in the town of Raphoe, Ireland, in 624 AD, St. Adomnan spent much of his life on the Scottish island of Iona, where he served as an abbot, spreading the word of the Christian God. And St. Adomnan Vita Columbae, in English, The Life of Columba, is a fascinating Gaelic chronicle of the life of St. Columba. He was a 6th century abbot, also of Ireland, who spent much of his life trying to convert the Iron Age Picts to Christianity, and to, like Adomnan, was an abbot of Iona. I bet that's not even how you pronounce that name. But in 563, Columba sailed to Scotland, and 2 years later he happened to visit Loch Ness, while travelling with a number of comrades to meet King Brood of the Picts. It turned out to be an amazing and notable experience, as Vita Columbae most assuredly demonstrates. And the story began, or the monk, the priest, the saint, began the story thus. When the blessed man was staying for some days in the province of the Picts, he found it necessary to cross the river Ness. And when he came to the bank thereof, he sees some of the inhabitants burying a poor unfortunate little fellow whom, as those who were burying him themselves reported, some water monster had a little before snatched at as he was swimming. It's all that old worldy language. It's all a bit back to front there. And he was bitten with a most savage bite, and whose hapless corpse some men who came in a boat to give assistance, though too late, caught hold of by putting out hooks. Now, unlike the case of John Cobb, there really may have been something to the centuries-old saga of the man killed by the monster, this time in the river Ness. Now let's take a look at Bigfoot. Now, that story there about the river Ness, it is quite interesting, and it talks of the Picts. Now, the fact that Columba had to cross the river Ness, that's a stone's throw from the stone circles up at Clavacairns, where I've kind of shown you around there before. It's famous from the TV show Outlander. So, yeah, it's just weird reading about those times, like the year 563, and it's like familiar landmarks that they're talking about. I don't know, it's a bit weird. But we're going to move on to Bigfoot, and then I'm going to open up the phones. It says, now let's take a look at Bigfoot. It's not every day that a US president makes comments and observations on Bigfoot. But as incredible as it may sound, President Theodore Roosevelt may have done exactly that in the pages of his 1890 book, The Wilderness Hunter. And the president, who was also a keen hunter and an avid outdoorsman, told a story that sounds eerily and chillingly like a close encounter with a murderous, homicidal Bigfoot. His amazing, more than a century-old story follows uninterrupted. Frontiersmen are not, as a rule, apt to be very superstitious. They lead lives too hard and practical, and have too little imagination in things spiritual and supernatural. I have heard but few ghost stories while living on the frontier, and those few were of a perfectly commonplace and conventional type. But I once listened to a goblin story. Oh, do I?
I don't like them putting chemicals in the water that turn the friggin'...
I thought it was my goblins clip. The goblins clip would have been perfect there, right?
Are you serious?
Yes, I'm serious.
Are you
I am.
serious?
I can't
guys? We
find
got,
my goblins
breaking-
clip. Oh, terrible. If I knew there was goblins coming. But once I listened to a goblin story, which rather impressed me. And the story came from a hunter named Bowman. who had a friend with him on a trek through the woods of Montana near the Wisdom River. Now, the story told to Roosevelt went on, or Roosevelt, sorry, went on, and when Bowman returned to the campsite of the two friends, the footprints of what he described as an, quote, unknown beast creature. You know it's bad when something gets called a beast creature. Not just a beast, not just an unknown creature, it's a beast creature. Hit it with a shoe, Anne. Clunk. Clearly printed deep in the soft soil. Now, the unfortunate man, having finished his packing, had sat down on the spruce log with his face to the fire and his back to the dense woods to wait for his companion. While thus waiting, his monstrous assailant, which must have been lurking in the woods, waiting for a chance to catch one of those adventurers unprepared, came silently up from behind, walking with long, noiseless steps, and seemingly still on two legs. Evidently unheard, it reached the man, and broke his neck by wrenching his head back with its forepaws, while it buried its teeth into his throat. It had not eaten the body, but apparently had romped and gambolled around it in uncouth, ferocious glee. Brown chicken, brown cow, Bigfoot, what are you doing? Occasionally rolling over and over it, and then had fled back into the soundless depths of the woods. A strange and sinister way to pass at the hands of a monster, no less. And on that note, I'm going to put on the phones right now so that you too can have your say on KBS. All you got to do, folks, is dial 213. Oh, hang on now. No, I'm dialing the wrong number. I was dialing in the number that I need to forget about it. Don't you worry about it. I've got it covered, I think. Here we go. So if you want to call me, just dial in 213-233-3998. That's 213-233-3998. And that noise there, ladies and gentlemen, means the phones are on. Yes, indeedy. So it says now let's take a look at the matter of the wendigo. Legends of America tells us of the creature. The wendigo was gaunt to the point of I hate that word. Emaciation. That's it. It's desiccated skin pulled tautly over its bones. It's that ugly, folks. I can't even read how bad it is. With its bones pushing out against its skin, its complexion the ash grey of death, and its eyes pushed deep or back deep into their sockets, the wendigo looked like a gaunt skeleton recently disinterred from the grave. You know, it does have a look of Nancy Pelosi about it, I'm just saying. What lips it had were tattered and bloody. Its body was unclean and suffering from suppurations or suppurations of the flesh, giving off a strange and eerie odour of decay and composition, of death and corruption. That's probably the most polite way I've ever heard the putrid smell of a corpse being described. And we are going now to, oh my word, what is it with Canadians and the Kev Baker show? Whoa. Okay, now I have to mute that up. I have got absolutely no idea who that is, what just happened. Talking about the Wendigo, and my phone line's going crazy. I'm going to try it again. Ontario, area code 416. Are you there? Or are you Skyborg? Is Skyborg on the line? Okay then. Well, that isn't very disconcerting. That didn't give me the heebie-jeebies much. Let's just get back into it. This brings us to a man who became notorious. Of these various stories that surround the Wendigo, certainly the most horrific, revolves around a Cree Native American named Swiftrunner. He lived with his family in the area of forest close to Edmonton, Canada. And so when we go up to Canada for a story, we get a call from Canada and it's going mental. Like mental. Now, the same callers tried to call in again. So I'm going to take a drink of coffee first because I don't know what I'm going to be met with here. Okay, area code 416. How you doing?
Pretty good, man. It's just Polly. Don't worry, man.
Polly! Dude, you sounded like a fax machine when you called in before, man.
Oh, yeah, that's my impression of a fax machine.
Well, I tell you what, you had me. I thought I was going to have to get out my Morse code kind of notes and start taking down messages from beyond. How you doing, brother?
I'm doing pretty good, man. I just wanted to call in and actually, I don't have any woo at the moment. I just wanted to call in and say hi to all the chat because the chat is where it's at.
The chat is where it's at, and I think that's probably, you know, I used to think it was a 50-50 kind of split. I would bring some of the stuff, the chat would bring the rest of the vibe, and together it was a really good mix, you know. And everything at TFR, it's just perfect. And then you callers, you audience, I don't know. I might have to do something about this, Polly, because it's almost as if I'm getting kicked out of my own show here. Because the quality of the woo that you guys bring, it's brilliant, brother. And I love getting to know you all better as well.
I think actually that the chat provides more than you know most people think. People are stuck at home, and like-minded people are just flourishing in this chat, and ideas are being talked about without being argued about, and it's just a really good vibe. I think it's an underestimated thing that's going to be something that people look back on. I met some really good people then. We came together in the chat rooms, underneath the radar, and we built communities, and here they are now. And that's hopefully what's going to be in 10 years or 15 or 5 years from now. All these people that are in the chat are just going to be neighbors, not just digital neighbors.
Yeah, that's why, I mean, when I set up the Discord server at the time, I'd been in Unirock's Discord, and I'd really enjoyed that. It's the first time I'd ever used Discord, and it struck me really early in using it. I thought, we do have some blast in the TFR chat room. Then we had some blast when I've been doing the live streams as well, and I thought, I could get that 24/7 for people to hang out. And like you'll tell anyone, I mean, you're in there more than I am. It might be the KBS server in name, but it belongs to everyone. There's nobody runs it. I mean, I'm barely in there. Anne's got more of a role in there than I do. I've even been kicked out my own server, Polly.
Honestly, your Discord channel is basically a sanctuary. If you have nowhere to hide, you can just go into the Discord and someone will be there. And anybody who's in there already, don't feel free to DM me anytime. I have tons of ears, more than 2.
Brilliant. And you can get yourself a bionic eye as well soon.
Yeah, exactly.
You'll be able to see in the dark because, I mean, humans, how have we made it this far in our evolutionary process without being able to see in the dark? It's beyond me, Polly. How did we manage for so long?
Yeah, I don't even know, man, because it's really ironic. I've actually met more people during lockdown than I've met in my entire life.
That's
and I've probably got more. I've probably got more real, actual relationships in digital with people I've never even met than people that I've met in real life.
You think about that, Polly.
It's so weird.
See, when you think about that, and I've been as guilty as anyone in the past, really hating on social media and sometimes, pointing too much at the negative side of the internet and everything else. But look at that, what Polly's talking about there. Something positive coming out of all the crap right now. And I'm like you. I've got to know people better, I think, online as well. And of course, you never get to know truly somebody online. But that's where you lot are a little bit different. Because I don't know, And birds of a feather, they flock together. And whatever's happening on cosmic scales and cosmic levels right now, Polly, all I know is like-minded people are coming together. And I can't think of a better bunch of crazies to spend going through the apocalypse, brother. And that's the music, and I'll speak to you again soon. I'll be back on the other side. Don't go anywhere, folks. Polly, thank you so much, man.
Cheers, bud.
Catch you later. We'll be back on the other side, folks. Don't go anywhere. We have got... Oh, we're out of time there. But Polly, brilliant. And Polly, thank you for phoning up. That started the phone calls off. We are going to be going to Denver next for a call there. And we'll find out what's going on in Denver. I think it might be Algo. Might be Algo. I think it's Algo. If I'm wrong, well, we can all laugh at me. Let's face it, we're all laughing at my Barnet anyway, right? I am making mullets great again. That's what they tell me. Yeah, so I'm told. Making mullets great again. What a bloody claim to fame that is, eh? For all you people in the UK, I understand the phone line has been a bit temperamental. The network are absolutely on it, folks. They are on it. So, is that Rick wanting into the server? Oh. Yes, if anyone can, ZX, if you can give a link out, I would be so appreciative, brother. Like, wow, to the nth degree. Let the people into the server. That's what we'll do. Big shout out to Marty Manaris. I'm just looking at the time as well here to go back. We've got Rick, Polly. Great call, Polly. We've got Queen Goddess, Connie, Leslie, Woody. I got to say Woody on air. Brilliant. Woody Walker, you get, see if I could give out prizes for the best name of the day. Woody Walker wins it hands down. I'm sorry, but that's a cracking name. I like it. We're going back to TFR Live right now, folks. Don't go anywhere. Here we go. Welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, we are live. The phones are on. You're listening to the final segment of today's Kev Baker show. It's the last show of the week, but never fear. Kev Baker, or Dave, is always near. I'll be back tomorrow with Freaky Friday, live here on TFRlive.com, where you get protection from deception and where silence is consent. And remember, wherever you are, make it TFR. And on that note, let's get to some of the TFR audience out there. I think it's algorithm. It's Denver, Colorado. I hope it's not the airport. How you doing, man?
It is not the airport. It's your friend Algorithm. How are you, Kev?
I'm all the better for speaking to you, as I always am. You listeners rock. What's happening, Algo?
Well, I wanted to correct something. I spoke to you last week how I said that I really hadn't experienced woo, and then in chat conversation, I got to thinking about it. And every time I visit a place where there have been some kind of real violent murders, then I get this feeling of, I don't know, I don't even have a word for it. Dread is about as close as I can get. But there's a place in New Mexico called the Taos Pueblo, where many tens of thousands of Taos natives, we call them Indians, but natives were slaughtered there. And then about 10 years ago, I went to the site of what's called the Sand Creek Massacre in Colorado and experienced the same thing. And then at believe it or not, certain parts of the Denver airport, they say were built on a native burial area. I get that same feeling when I either pick up or drop people off, only in this one weird spot. So I guess I wanted to call you back and say, I do experience woo, but I don't experience it visually or auditorily. It's more of a feeling inside, which is kind of weird.
And by the sounds of it, Algo, it's become that common place for you to feel this that you didn't even class it as woo, right? It's just something that happens. You hadn't even thought about it.
Exactly. No, I never put the two together until that show last week where I called you and I said, I love what you bring because I don't ever get that. When I've had it a long time, I just never called it that or understood it as that.
Well, you see.
So I thank you for that.
That seems to me then, now I'm no expert on this, but maybe some of the people in the TFR chat, on the YouTube, wherever, can help us here, but it sounds like you do have some kind of psychic ability. At the very least, you can pick up on energy somehow, right?
Yeah, for sure.
And do you...
I can pick out bad people easily.
Now, that's interesting. That is interesting. I haven't really tested it too much since I would say it started to heighten, but my gut feelings and things, I've started to notice that, well, you never truly know, but it seems like I can pick out the good from the bad pretty quickly now as well. And I wonder, Algo, if everyone's senses are kind of heightening. I don't know what's causing it, but we've got this increase in the woo, the paranormal. People talk about us moving into new ages, even new energies coming in from space and things. The sun acting differently, what effect that has on us. But I do think, the paranormal, the supernatural, all of these things are going to become normal and natural because they're going to become so common throughout many people in the population.
Well, sure, and I'm personally so glad that we have an objective host who can bring it without tainting it and let us absorb it and kind of decipher it and kind of make sense of it for ourselves. You do a fantastic job at that, and I don't want to embarrass you, and I don't want you to thank me for it, but I think the reason people resonate to you is you have that ability. So please keep it up, and I will let you get to your next caller, my friend.
Oh, I'll go. You appreciate. I do not take compliments well at all. It's a dude thing, right? We get uncomfortable with that, but I love you to bits, brother. I really do, and I look forward to speaking to you again. Right?
Sounds great. Take good care.
Catch you later. Catch you later. Wow. Algorithm, ladies and gents, and Algo has become one of those family type people in the chat room. He's just part of the furniture, as all of you are out there. Now, come on, you need to phone in, and I'm sure Kevin, he might be listening out there. Granny might be listening out there, but even more so, if you're a first-time caller, I'd love to hear from you. I keep on saying it to the point where it's almost sickening, but it's got to be the easiest show in the world to call into. Some of my favourite hosts, I wouldn't dare call into them. I've heard them being really scathing with people when maybe they don't agree with what they're saying or whatever, and that ain't how we roll on here. We're a different kettle of fish altogether. And to keep us going until we get our next caller, I've got more woo for us to get into. Don't you worry about that, folks. So we'll come back here, and the phone number, if you need it, is 213 233 3998. That's 213 233 3998. Don't be shy. Get on the line, folks. So then, it says here, this brings us to a man who became notorious. Of the various stories that surround the Wendigo, certainly was the most horrific around did we do this one? Yeah, we got that bit, didn't we? I think we did. Let's see. So he told a bleak story of how all of his family, his wife, his 6 children. Now we're going to DJ Caveman. No, we're going back to the phones here, folks, because DJ Caveman is one of these callers that I know is going to blow our mind. DJ, welcome back to the show, brother. I'm telling you, I've got these numbers down, man.
I'm telling you, getting it going, and Denver and Colorado and Poly up in Canada, and yeah, we're all coming out of the chat room, I suppose.
See? What's happening, man? Talk to us today, because the last time you called in, it was out of body experiences, and it was real golden woo, brother. Talk to me, man.
Well, I don't have anything like that, I suppose, this evening. I just was calling in. You were listening to the show yesterday, and you got out. And not like Canadians too down here in Florida. I mean, it's February. It's 50 degrees out. And Canadians, they're white as like.
Well, think of me, right? Think of what happened to me, man. Think of what happened, right? I was flying over to Florida from the UK when I was in the military, and we were all in Florida mode the moment we got to RAF Lynham, before we got packed onto the back of the Hercules, right? So we're pretty much getting ready. Just to give you the kind of scene, picture squaddies ready in a bunch of Bermuda shorts, shades, going for a right good jolly in the sun, right? We're going to Florida. We'd been checking the weather. It was glorious, right? Floridians would probably have said it was horrible. It was cold. But for us Brits, it was absolutely tropical. Only problem being, 2 hours or so into the flight, I got a bit of a panic on, because I started to get the feeling in the belly that the plane's going down. And I'm thinking, well, a 36-hour flight, because you're on the Hercules, and well, we hadn't factored in where we were going to be stopping, had we? So when we actually landed, our first landing was we were in Iceland to start with. So that was like something out of the film Cool Runnings. All of us freezing our knackers off on the runway. And then when we touched down in Canada, it was in Nova Scotia in January. It was absolutely freezing. So, yeah, I can appreciate the difference between Canada and Florida. It's like 2 different worlds, brother.
Well, that's about... what's that?
Now tell me then, because I was getting into some monster woo there, right? You're down in Florida, and in Florida, correct me if I'm mistaken, or correct me if I'm wrong, sorry, but isn't it the skunk ape that you guys get down there? Your version of the Bigfoot?
I was just thinking skunk ape. Yes, we have them. They're a little bit south of me. We actually spent some time a few years, well, more than a few years back, doing some camping out on the Everglades and thinking about skunk apes. And apparently they're out there. There's all kinds of other crazy stuff out there as far as monsters. That they got pythons, some people with their pet snakes.
Oh, no. Hang on a minute. I was going to ask you, this is cool. You've almost got there before I asked you, because you've got the Everglades and things like that, right? So you got the swamps going on. And I mean, is there any like kind of, I know we've got Nessie over here, but you mentioned pythons and things there. So there is like tales of big monster kind of creatures, yeah?
Yeah, no, it's more than just tails. They're a bit of a nuisance, and I believe, I don't know if it was this year or last year, year before that, but they had their breeding out there. So they had a snake hunting contest where, or not a contest, but a bounty. You go catch the snakes and you get paid for them. And because they're not indigenous, there's nothing out there that is hunting them that, aside from the crocs, and they're flourishing. So they had well, maybe they'll do it again this year. I don't know. Who knows with this Corona thing, what sort of wrenches that may have thrown into it, but generally there's especially here in South Florida, over on the East Coast, you get out west of the populated area, and that's where the swamp and civilization kind of merge, and there's lots of snakes out there, and a lot of these pythons, a lot of these pets that people have released.
I bet there's and this sounds really dark, right? But I love watching documentaries on true crime, and even more perverse, I like documentaries about the serial killers and stuff like that. And when I look at America in particular, and that's just because most of the documentaries are focused on there. I don't think serial killers are confined to the States. That'd be ridiculous. But you think of somewhere like Florida, the Everglades, the swamps, and then you think of all the other places in America. Yeah, you think of it, DJ, and I know it's dark, right? But there's so many, like thousands of missing people, and there's various reasons for that. But I wonder how many of them, if you were to clear all of that out, it would be mind-boggling what you'd find there.
Yeah, down here, we catch all the freaks for whatever reason. I mean, it's nice, sunny and tropical, but we've got our Florida man.
You are home to the Florida man, dude. I was watching a cracking Florida man video today. It was 4 growing, hairy-assed men having the most weird paint fight outside a Home Depot store that I've ever seen. I'm definitely going to have to show it on a stream sometime. It could only ever have come from Florida, dude, honestly.
My first encounter with Florida man, I first moved here in the 80s, probably, I think it was 86 or 87 anyway. And I moved over to Tampa Bay side of things, where you were over at McDill and all that. So my first, it was our House of Representative was our politician was out in the park in Clearwater, and he was they have little holes in the lavatories between stalls, and certain things happen between them. He was arrested servicing the stalls. So, and this is the guy that was elected to the House of Representatives. So that was my first encounter with Florida, man.
I tell you, it was Ryan Gable and Scott Lopez, and then Popeye, an actual resident of Florida, that really opened my eyes to the craziness that is Florida, man. I tell you, you could do like a week of shows alone on just the hilarious stories, but some of them really disturbing as well. Like I say, some things, they only happen in Florida. They really do. So now I want to ask you something else then, since it's just me and you here. Ghosts. We've been talking about ghosts a lot on the show lately as well. We had paranormal researchers, Steve and Jen Hodgson, on recently. We've got Bill that comes on.
Yeah.
What'd you make of the whole ghost thing? Have you ever encountered anything like that at all?
Yeah, I have. I was in the major one would be I was just in a random hotel room at the time. It was I was traveling for a living. It was after 2008, and I was 100% travel job. So I was from hotel room to hotel room to hotel room, and project to project to project. And this one hotel room I stayed in was definitely had something going on. Weird dreams. One night I had this crazy dream of there was a storm out in the ocean, and it was a big brouhaha, and it was coming in. You know, the galer that was coming in, and you know, all the ships are coming into port because of all of the, you know, it's, you know, into to be safe, and it was just this really long dream, and the ships were very strange. They were all wooden, and they were of the old style, and but they were really like extra large. They didn't build them that big. You know, they were like 8 stories. They were like super ships. And then I got jolted awake, and across the room was a shape. You could see it through. You know, it was dark, but it was definitely there, and it was a light. There was a face and a kind of part of a torso, but it was pointing off to the side as a warning. You know, there's a storm coming. So that's what the ghost told me, and it just kind of it was there for 30 seconds or so, and then just kind of vaporized, I guess, or not vaporized, but vanished, or just folded into nothing. And then, you know, I was there for another few days, and after that, it really didn't bother me. So I was guessing that you know, some sort of residual thing or something. I just rolled over and went back to sleep. I didn't, you know, it wasn't like scary or anything. It just was just trying to tell me something.
Ooh, just a dark, shadowy thing, dude. That's the shadow, dude, man.
That's the shadow dude. Yeah, I suppose I've seen him, you know, or one of them. I'm guessing, I don't know what may have happened in that room. And I kind of mentioned, I you know, during checkout, I kind of was like, you know, the little room's a little strange up there, and it just kind of, the guy just kind of looked at me like, you know. So I'm guessing it was for whatever reason. You know, the more, you know, we do these ghost shows, I mean, you bring, you know, some great people to the table here, and we start, you know, kind of analyzing, you know, what sort of hauntings these may be. And there's, you know, not necessarily anything evil or demonic, or, you know, definitely crazy about it, but you know, that
well, DJ, if you like your ghost stories, right? I mean, I mentioned we all obviously got a strong bond relationship with Bill. We do our Sunday podcast where I'm his co-host, and it's great. But myself and Bill, after last Sunday show,
gotta tell you,
on you go, man.
Oh, I got to tell you, you and Bill are like peas in the pod, man. It's a great podcast, and anybody that's not tuning into the Sunday podcast with Bill and Kev, you really need to do that.
Yeah, and I mean, people expect us to agree all the time, and that's not the case at all. And I know Bill well enough, and Bill knows me well enough that we can disagree, and it never causes any problems, you know. But he was telling me after Sunday's show, I can't give too much away because there's nothing shored up yet, but folks, you could be talking about one of the biggest kind of woo shows ever in the history of KBS, not too far away.
You guys did kind of hint at it. or builded that he's got other stuff working. Hopefully everything works the right way and he's able to do what he wants to do.
Yeah, he was on
He wants to do it.
he was on TV last night, Travel Channel over in the US, Ghost Plantation. He was working with the
Oh, that's right. I missed that.
Yeah, he was working with the TAPS team, and I'm still to see that yet. I can't wait to find that and watch it. But you know, this kind of information, DJ, and I can tell by listening to your voice as well. I don't know. It's just something that we've obviously got a passion for, whether it's the way our minds work, whether it's something to do with the way our minds are wired. I do think we've all known each other before in some way, shape, or form. If it wasn't on this physical plane, I think wherever we have come from to play the game here, I think we're coming back together. And I think it's amazing that we're coming back together. And I think that's why we've got this vibe going. And I just want to thank you for being a huge part of that, brother. You've called in a couple of times now, and I really, really appreciate that, as I do with all the audience. But I just want you to know that, man.
Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, that's you calling in. This is the only show I think I've ever called into, and probably the only show I ever will call into. I've thought about calling into the Screaming Man Jonesy a couple times and thought second of it, but.
If I phoned in, he'd be like, "You're that Kev Baker on that Truth Frequency Radio. You believe in those clockwork elves? You believe in the elves, Kev? You believe in unicorns, man?" Yeah, exactly, dude. And he's like one of my radio heroes, man. And I don't idolize the guy, but I obviously have, looked to him for pointers.
It is interesting, over the years, I thought that the value in the show was in the guests that he had, and he's got quality people that come on. He stop interrupting them all the damn time, and just let them talk. They, his guests are great for what he's got left at this point. Anybody that goes on that show gets freaking, they get. I remember for a number of years they had a sociologist professor out of Berkeley, I believe, that he had to have gotten. You're not going on the show anymore and explain how all this sociological stuff works.
Berkeley's an interesting place. Berkeley, when I was working with Patch, Anthony Patch, I had my eyes open to just how central Berkeley is to some of the older operations, the MK Ultra, all that kind of wacky stuff.
Right, and that it makes me miss your shows with Patch. I've been keeping up with him too, not as much as I'd like to. I'm certainly in and out of work here, and I'd like to do the subscriptions thing, but. Anthony definitely is definitely been keeping up with him.
We're almost out of time. We're almost out of time. We're almost out of time, DJ. But just to back you up on that, there, said it once, said it 1,000 times. I learned so much from Anthony Patch, and I can't thank him enough. Not just for the kind of technical stuff, but real world stuff as well. And yeah, it's unfortunate, but that's life, and our journeys have taken separate ways, but they may come back together again. And I want to come back together again with all of you tomorrow, right here on TFRlive.com. I'll be back with Freaky Friday tomorrow. Stay tuned. Lots more on the way right here on your number one network. And remember what I always say, wherever you are, make it TFR. Boom. And that's the mic drop moment. That's when I should really just stand up and walk out the room. But wow at you callers again, knocking it clean out of the park. Absolutely fantastic. Can't thank you all enough for tonight's show. I hope you enjoyed some of the information I threw your way. I hope you enjoyed the Skyborg. Keep your eyes open for that. Forget Skynet, folks. Forget the Borg. No, we've got Skyborg. It's real. It lives. Before we go, just as a very special treat, since we were talking about Florida man there, I was talking about a video I had seen, and I've got it here, and we'll take a quick look at this. What I call the most ridiculous paint fight that I've ever seen. Check this out, ladies and gentlemen. This is, and it could only be from Florida. Here we go, get some tunes in it. Here we go. That big boy there looks like Clyde Lewis a bit from a distance, man, but he shifts quicker than him. And by the end of this, they all start looking like French mimes. Oh ha ha, ooh ha ha. He moves a bit quicker than a mime though, right? Only in Florida. That big guy's a bully, man. You see him? Big bully. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. And on that note, ladies and gentlemen, that there's Florida.
There's a lot of interest about whether you would end up wearing a mask today. Could you just take us through your thought process?
Right, I have no idea where that came from. Who knows what that was all about? It was on about. Who knows? But on that note, ladies and gentlemen, yes, Jason, paint fights to finish the show. Why? Because we roll differently here on KBS. Paint roller, bad one, shite one, probably. Right, on that note, I am out of here. Remember what Greta says.
How dare you?
But I dare you to. And then for one last time, we're out of here. Keep it real and keep your mind open. Keep looking for the woo, but not to the point where your brain turns to black goo. Yeah, Algo says that was a misunderstanding. Algo, don't gloss over it like that. Don't gloss over it. Come on now. Ah! You know, this love-in that we have at the end of every show, it's going to get very Waltons on here. Love you, John Boy. Love you, Kev. Love you, Sue Ellen. Love you, Kev. I know it's the same person answering me. That's Dave. Dave's trying to do it. Love you, Marty. Love you, ZX. Good night, Mamo. Night, King. Night, Kev. Who farted? Yes, Leslie, is that the cat's pajamas or the chat's pajamas? Ah, spoiled it.
How dare you?